All right, everybody, welcome to Popshap Presents Everybody Wants to Know, a podcast about questions that we hear from event organizers, show managers, and exhibitors ask every day. At Popshap, we design and deliver interactive event technology that helps any type of event run smoother and to bring more people to your booth. Itam Madrid, our CEO, is going to give you guys real life experiences throughout these podcasts on events that he has done in the past and how he has made events better. That is the main focus. I'd like to introduce you. Welcome.
You don't have to introduce me. Everyone knows me.
Everybody knows him.
Everybody knows me. And I know you want to keep it more professional, and we'll do that, at least for the first 5 minutes, and then we'll go crazy.
Yeah, I just want to make sure people realize who you are, your strengths, and where they can, where you can take them moving forward. So today I really wanted to focus on why the first 5 minutes matter. I've been to a bunch of conventions before, about 10 years worth of conventions, and I remember the dread of actually going to go sign up or, getting through the lines and trying to figure out what I'm doing. And then Eton came up with a solution, which is registration kiosks. How's that affected booths?
So yeah, listen, if you take trade shows, what was there before COVID and post-COVID are two different worlds, right? Before COVID, people came in, they hung out, they even came a day before the show, social experience, there wasn't the rush to go and I gotta get my badge and, go hit the show. What COVID did is basically change the playing field, right? People say, if I'm gonna leave and take a chance getting some kind of disease, I'm gonna go for the one day, I'm gonna get my business done and walk away. So what it meant for the industry that everything had to be very fast, direct serving. Hence you see all these self-registration, no queue lines, spreading the registration in a very open way. That's what you see. A lot of the things you see in registration today is a result of COVID. Furthermore, I would tell you that if you looked at registration before COVID, it was lines. They enjoyed keeping people in line. That's how they sold sponsorship and engagement. And today it's different. Today, the registration is just one quick stop, and that's where we come in. That quick stop has to be technology driven, has to be fast, and then you move people fast in queue. So. When you look at the Popshap products, there's a twofold, and I don't want to get into a selling method of our product, but in a sense, if you look at the, part one registration tools, kiosks that help the attendees get their badge quicker and move on to the next step. And part two is the wayfinding and the sponsorship, right? Our equipment is everywhere by registration. You can see different sponsors, people are promoting their booth, where they're going to be, activities at the show, and things that are basic that I'm still shocked that some shows don't have it, like wayfinding. Yeah. Just to find your way through a property like the Mandela Bay, for example. So,
it felt night and day to me, honestly, because I've done registration both ways where you have to wait in line for your badge. I went to ASE 3 years ago. I had to wait in line for a badge. It took an hour.
Right.
So that takes away an hour for me seeing booths, going and meeting people, and getting actual things done. So I totally agree with that. I think the night and day switch of fast tracking your way to get into these conventions, it doesn't just help you. It helps the booths. It helps everybody a part of it, and you get to see more with your time.
And to your point, look, it's not just an hour of someone spending in line. It's more than that. If someone's going to have that bad experience, they might not come next year. Attendees want to focus on the experience. You see shows today that focus on the activities at the show. It's not just about delivering the business and the sales. It's the overall experience. I've seen registration sites at airports, and I remember seeing them. Like, who's going to stop at the airport and register? People that care about their time. A lot of people come for one day, in and out, get the information, couple of meetings, and they're out. So for them, getting the badge at the airport without the line it goes a long way. So we're here to facilitate that for sure.
I like that. And I guess this is an interesting question. What are the downsides to not having a registration kiosk?
Beside the obvious of lines, yeah. Listen, the registration kiosk in our case also helps with providing sponsorship content. So now if you talk to the team that operates the show, you're giving them another tool and something to sell, which they appreciate. Secondary to that, when you go into like a non-kiosk registration, and you're wasting time finding the person, checking their ID, and doing all the rudimentary things that a kiosk can do for you. And I'm not saying kiosk should be the only solution. It should be a hybrid for sure. You'll still need people to help, with the mitigation of like, I can't find my badge, did I register on time? I have to pay for my registration. And remember, some shows, they check ID, so you still need that. But if you can queue and get through the noise, just like think about airports, right? Yeah. You have the pre-check, you have the clear, and you have the people waiting in line. You're trying to get the 100% into 50% and just go through, so the 100% becomes easier to manage. You make it easier on your staff. You got to remember, a lot of these shows, they roll the same staff from registration into the actual show. So if it's easier, you have more resources now at the show, staff that can help you with other parts of the show. So I think registration should be a really quick stop. It shouldn't be a pain point. Again, just like the analogy to flying, you want to get through security quick, so you can go shop at the duty free, have a drink at the lounge, and then get on your flight. Exactly. And treat it that way. I would definitely think it's a good analogy.
Yeah, I think when I flew to Tokyo one time, I saw the TSA pre-boarding line, and I'm like, God damn it, I need that, because it just made sense. I mean, I was already going to get checked, but the line went fast, and time is money, and like you said, you get a chance to relax, calm down, and really understand. And back to your point about people that run the booth of having to run registration, if that cuts down the time, they have more time to focus on the booth, and
right,
explaining everything and showing, which is going to help the business in the long run.
Yeah, and I hate getting stuck on the analogy of airports, but it's just like that. I fly here and there. I've been known to get on a plane
just a
few times. And I just remember the times I fly with my kids and whatnot. And nobody wants the security. People want to get to a lounge, want to get to a place where they can relax. But when I fly by myself, I take that time to get work done, right? Yeah. So that extra hour that I sit, I'm terrible with airports. Like, I'll get there, just like a registration it shows, I'll get to the airport 10 minutes before my flight because I have the clear, the TSA, whatever. I think I own the airport. I just walk through it like I waltz through. It's not always the case, but I'm that late person that comes to registration, doesn't come day one or pre-register, and I'm like, then I see a line and I get shocked. Oh my God, everyone's here. Yeah, everyone's here, Exactly. So, me as a person, when I go to a registration site and I have to wait in line, if I'm in Vegas, I'm going back to the casino, right? That's another hour for sure. I'm not waiting back in line. So if you want your attendees to engage and have more time on the floor, you got to make sure your registration is in line. Yeah. And if your registration is in line, pretty much 80% of the shows that I've been to, if registration is in line, the show is a show. You can see everything is tailor-made, people are organized, know where to go. It's a much different experience.
Maximize.
And that's what we're here to do, right?
Exactly.
We're here to create a good experience for attendees.
And I think people should understand what we're saying. We're just trying to simplify and help you expand, your business.
No, we're trying to make money.
Oh,
no.
Yep. Of course.
But along the way, it'll be nice if our partners and clients benefit from it. Yeah. And then their clients benefit from it, right? We're all in the industry of trade shows to benefit, but also create value for our partners. But yes, to your point, that's the perception as reality, right? If someone comes and sees a messy registration, they're like, oh, it's going to be a shit show back there. Mm-hmm. When they see a nice, organized registration with technology that benefits the attendees, they know the experience inside is going to be different.
Yeah, it reminds me of Thanksgiving. I saw a lady, she had like 8 cats in her house. Saw one of them go on a kitchen counter and, right then and there, chaos. I didn't even want to touch a plate.
That's it.
Yep.
Even if you like turkey.
Exactly. I'm good.
I'm not a fan. You're still thinking about that. So that's the problem in our industry right now with the perception. You will go into... I've been to shows that there's really no digital existence, right? There's meter boards and everything is printed, which is not a bad thing, it's if that's the way they operate. But it tells you what to expect when you go into the show, and I've seen shows that did a really good job, amping the attendee experience, right? From the airport into registration, and you knew it was going to be an experience. You knew based on their agenda and what they had planned for attendees, it was going to be a good experience. So, since we're talking about registration, that's the gateway to the show, and that's the first thing you see, and that's the impression you get. I think it's key to get that right, for show organizers and for operators, and even think about exhibitors. Don't have registration. You go to a registration, an exhibitor booth. There's no registration to go in and experience the booth, but that front desk, when you see it, imagine you put one of those beautiful LED counters versus a regular desk. Yeah. You already know you're getting a different experience to that booth. So it goes alongside with the other things in the industry.
Just quality right there. I mean, you see quality, you want to go check out quality first.
Correct.
So,
yes, absolutely.
And then I guess that leads into my next question. I just wanted to hear about an actual company that you remember that you helped benefit from using registration kiosks.
So I have a couple in mind. I can tell you one client of ours, their show is coming up in a few weeks, Manifest. We've done their show since 22, 23, I believe, 3 or 4 years. They do their own registration as far as the software and whatnot. And, it's probably the most efficient registration I've seen. Not just because they use the right tools, and you have information around you, digital, to tell you where to go and how to engage. It's just the way they schedule everything. They make it so easy. I've never seen a line on that registration. And it's a pretty big show as far as attendee level, 6,000-7,000 people. You'll never know there's a queue in that show. Another good example is an education show that we did called Neurops. I think it was 2 years ago. I believe it was in New Orleans. Or also, you have students coming from all over the world. You have language barriers. You have no internet. They come with phones that don't work on the spot, so they can't pull up their tag and whatnot. And you see the queue coming up, but as soon as registration starts, they have such an efficient process that it just gets squashed away. And I can put a lot more examples like that, but I will say that even CES, I remember years before COVID, you dreaded registration. There were lines and lines, and almost they try to keep you in line. And today it's a different experience. CES today, you can print badges in so many satellite locations. You get there, they're very efficient. It's all due to technology. Whether it's a Popshap technology or not, doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is they're using technology in the right way to move the lines and make it a better experience. So,
and that's one of the things I think we should all understand is that, giving a better experience creates a better outcome, on multiple levels. And I think that's the beauty of it. And I guess my last question is, if I'm planning an event, say if I call you and I explain what I need and I say, we're doing registration at the booth and everything like that, what would you tell me?
Well, the clients that will call us to do registration are really going to go through one of our registration partners, right? So you have the CVent, the e-shows, the swap card of the world, partners of ours that, we power their registration. We don't necessarily do our own registration platform. We work with partners that use our equipment. So, but we can guide you, meaning that we can, if you don't have a registration partner, we'll go ahead and, find you someone, based on what show type you have and where your show is to help power the registration. And then we'll tell you, listen, you have a few ways of doing registration. You have the hybrid way, you have the self-serve way with kiosks, or you can do, manual registration with staff manning the booth. But what is the outside and what's the goals of registration? Is to get people their badge, give them some information. Imagine registration being almost a concierge when you come to a hotel. Yeah. Okay, so you get your key for your room. Now you want to know what's around, the restaurants, sightseeing, right? You want to know your suitcase being taken care of if the room is not ready, things like that. That's how registration should be at trade shows. You come, you get your badge, you find out what's going on around the show, you find out when things at the show are starting. So that's where our equipment is really valuable. You put our kiosk next to registration, and people just, they drive to them almost like seamlessly. They know they're gonna get served information about the show, and that's where the value is. So I'm gonna recommend to you, hey, yes, focus on registration, but serve information to attendees. Don't assume they're gonna download your app for the show. Don't assume they're gonna go online and find out everything. Serve that information. Now, along the way, if you can sell sponsorship using our kiosk, then it's a home run and it's a win-win-win, you know, so.
I think that's a perfect way to put it. So, I mean, at the end of the day, what we see is that registration kiosks are something that can definitely benefit any business that are doing conventions, that you can actually help lead them in the right direction if you hear from their business.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, you know, that's the way it should work. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, we're here to simplify and help you gain more out of whatever you're doing in terms of conventions. So we cover all businesses, correct?
Correct. So listen, at the end of the day, the Popshap model, again, not to make this podcast about selling, but if you look at the way we operated since COVID, we came into this industry because of a need. There's a void in digital, right? We're not saying we're gonna start building a registration platform and housing platforms, all these platforms. We just partner with people that do all these, and we add our digital as an added value. So A, they can sell sponsorship, but B, make it easier for attendees when they come in for the experience. I know we're gonna get through this podcast and talk about what happens inside the show.
Yeah.
But you know, if what happens at registration doesn't happen seamlessly, then you get two different experiences inside the show, right?
Exactly.
So I think that's important to understand, that we are a value-added partner to a lot of our clients to make things easy, digital, and if we can add the value of them elevating their sponsorship, great. You know, the one thing that people don't talk about the industry enough is being sustainable, being ADA compliant, you know, and our devices are exactly that, you know. They're sustainable, you're not printing and getting rid of materials after the show. Hence, you know, you're getting rid of meta boards for digital posters, for kiosks, and then you're serving people that cannot be served in an ADA compliance environment. So that's key as well. Yeah. I've seen so many setups in shows, and I'm not a police officer to go and call out people that are not doing the right thing, but it's still, you know, you'd be surprised how many medical shows and government shows are not serving people the right way on registration. That happens every day. I've seen someone with a wheelchair trying to go into registration, had to fill up a form, they can't even reach out the counter.
Oh my goodness.
So these things happen, you know, it's our job not to go and police it, but educate and bring tools that are gonna help mitigate those issues.
I think that's a good point too, that you can actually just go into it and see when it's not right or not compliant. I think just knowing that makes it real easy to understand and trust you when you speak on this.
I mean, listen, 6-7 years ago, I walked into a show. All I was doing was looking for the tchotchkes and giveaways, right? I wasn't there for anything else. So definitely being involved in this industry, incredible, amazing industry that's all about relationships, all about people helping each other. You know, I can tell you, we help competitors, they help us. It's not like one of those industries that a dog eat dog. It's everyone works together. But being part of this industry, now I'm seeing trade show in a completely different view. Yeah. Where before, like you said, you used to go to shows, you're like, okay, you know, you see things happening. I was amazed in the first few projects we did that actually everything turned out, you know, fine. It was ready. There were shows I'm walking in there, I'm like, there's no way, there's no hell, you know, a hell way that this is going to turn into a show and open at 9 a.m. like whatever you do, and they do. So what I've learned in the industry of resilience, which is a trade show, is that no matter what, show goes on. And, you know, back to our initial point of registration, it's a crucial point, because if that gets behind, then your show gets behind. Even though you're open, you might not have the attendees ready to come in and be served. So the registration is the first step. You know, I think in the next few weeks we'll talk about the other steps in our industry. And hopefully, if not for anything, this will be a fun, educating experience for everybody. You know, I just want to point out this is something I got, you know, for my team.
That's how we do the mugs here, you guys.
That's how we do the mugs, all right? So for my next birthday, if you want to, you know,
I'm always taking birthday gifts as well. So.
This is it. Birthday ideas, you think about it. This is not live, right? We're not live. We're gonna edit this, right?
Live in the world, yeah.
Not live in the world. No, because I'm like, it's funny. I'm like, people are like, I see you everywhere.
Yeah,
I guess they're talking about my LinkedIn post.
You know, it could be live or not. You know, it's all up in the air. That's
all
how
up in the air.
podcasts go. But I think one thing that I want to say is that out of this whole conversation for registration kiosks, it leads right back to the title on why the first 5 minutes matter.
Yes.
And now that we have reached that, I want to let everybody know that we have more episodes coming out weekly. We're going to discuss every area of this type of industry, and hopefully one of these videos will catch your attention to understand why we can help your business. So that'll be the ending of episode 1.
Wait, we're not ending anything. Hold on, I'm ending things. If we don't know how this works, I want to mention also, we're doing this in a very open space. In a month or so, we're moving to a new space. We'll create an actual podcast studio for us and our team. But until then, because we're in an open environment, everyone's game. If I catch someone in the office and I'm bringing them to the podcast, they're not going to even know it's happening. So stay tuned for that, because that's going to be fun.
Yeah, you might not see me every time, but you will see somebody and they will get grilled, which will be the fun part. So I enjoyed myself. Etan, thank you so much. All right.
See you on the next one.